ready for a sound-packed countdown that brings 5 standout options to light, each chosen to elevate every room with clarity and punch. If you crave room-filling audio, smart features, and easy setup, you're in for a treat. Today, I'm going to be going over the best home speakers that you can get right now. All of the products mentioned are linked in the description, so check them out if you're interested in any of them. With that, let's begin. At number 5, we have the Amazon Basics Stereo 2. Zero speakers. In a world where desktop setups often feel cluttered and underpowered, these compact speakers offer a straightforward path to better computer audio without breaking the bank. They're USB-powered, meaning you plug them into a laptop or a USB hub and let the USB port handle the power draw, which is a small but meaningful convenience when you are moving between desks or rooms. The overall silhouette is compact, with clean lines that blend into most environments, from a dorm room to a home office. The two drivers deliver a balanced stereo image, enough clarity for voice calls, and a coherent if not thunderous bass response that suits everyday listening, streaming playlists, and casual gaming. Simplicity is the selling point. There is no Bluetooth, no app to manage, and no complicated setup. You connect via the standard 3.5 audio path where available, or through a USB to 3.5 adapter, depending on your device, and you are essentially ready to go. Controls are paired back to a single volume knob with a small LED indicator, which helps avoid desk clutter. Where budget choices often disappoint in the upper mids, these speakers manage to keep dialogue intelligible and music fatigue low, which matters when you are staring at a monitor for long stretches. They are not a substitute for a full bookshelf system or a powered speaker with built-in DSP if you crave studio precision, but they deliver a solid, reliable baseline that many buyers will value for daily use. If your space is tight, or if you are building a spare pair for an office, a shared workstation, or a student setup, this is a credible entry point that respects money and space while still offering a real upgrade over crummy built-in laptop speakers. And you slide toward mid-range content like podcasts, movies, or a playlist that favors mids and highs. You notice that the Amazon Basics speakers keep the tone clean, avoiding the harsh edge that cheaper models can introduce. This kind of performance is especially appealing when your goal is steady, predictable sound without extra features to confuse the decision. In practice, the limitation shows up in the bass department, where the lack of a substantial woofer means you should not expect deep, room-filling low end, but you will still hear bass line traces and kick drums with enough authority to anchor a track. The bottom line is simple. If you want a no-nonsense, budget-friendly, USB-powered desktop setup that quietly does its job, the Amazon Basics Stereo 2 speakers offer a sensible solution. Paired to the Marshall Acton EI, which I have included as number 4 on this list, the Amazon Basics speakers deliver clean, clear dialogue and a gentle overall balance, but miss the dynamic slam and bass depth that the Acton EI can unleash when you push the volume. At number 4, we have the Marshall Acton EI. The Acton EI is a flagship-style compact speaker built for owners who want a classic rock and roll vibe in a modern form factor. The cabinet is solid, with a wooden veneer and a matte metal grille that carries the signature Marshall aesthetic, a design language that signals presence as soon as you lift the lid on the top panel. Connectivity is versatile for a speaker of this size. A Bluetooth radio for wireless playback, a reliable 3.5 wired input for a quick laptop link, and a separate RCA input for an older stereo source. Top controls, including the large volume dial and the tactile bass and treble knobs, invite a tactile interaction rarely found on budget shelf speakers, and that physical control adds an element of immediacy to your listening experience. Sound profile leans toward confidence and punch, with warm mids that push vocals forward and a low end that doesn't rattle the furniture, but still feels substantial at room-filling levels. The Acton EI handles film scores with aplomb, grows louder without strain, and reveals microdynamics in acoustic recordings that many compact speakers gloss over. This is not a tiny speaker. It occupies a mid-sized footprint that deserves a stable surface. The build is sturdy enough for daily use, and the appearance tends to win conversations when guests lean in to hear the difference between a Bluetooth stream and a wired input. Yet, for all of its strength, the Acton EI can feel less at home in a tiny desk corner where the Polk T15, with its more restrained footprint and friendly price, can disappear into the background while still delivering clear, balanced sound. The result is a winner in many living spaces and home studios, especially for listeners who crave ironclad presence without paying the high price of high-end hi-fi. Compared to the Polk Audio T15, which I have included as number 3 on this list, the Marshall Acton EI offers more bass depth, broader tonal balance, and a more indulgent listening experience, though at a larger footprint and higher price. At number 3, we have the Polk Audio T15. Polk's T15 is the kind of bookshelf speaker that shows value can be more than a buzzword when you need dependable performance on a budget. The two-way design mixes a mid-bass woofer with a dedicated tweeter, producing a voice-friendly mid-range that remains articulate even at moderate listening levels. Enclosure is compact, making the T15 easy to place on a desk, on a bookshelf, or on a secondary rack in a small living room. The porting system of the T15 helps deliver a surprisingly open soundstage for its size, one that lets guitars breathe and cymbals shimmer with convincing air. You get the sense that Polk tuned these speakers for real-world listening rather than laboratory measurements. You hear the natural warmth in your favorite vocal performances, the crisp edge in certain percussive hits, and an overall balance that doesn't collapse when the volume climbs. T15 is not a flagship bargain hunter, but it punches above its weight with its coherent tonal balance and clean highs that don't aggressively bite. For those who want to connect a pair of readers to a desktop amp or to a small amp/DAC combo, the Polk T15 becomes an honest partner for a compact listening room where space is at a premium. Many compact pairs skew bright or boxy. The T15 maintains a robust center image and a convincing overall energy. If you compare it to the Anker Soundcore 2, which I have included as number 2 on this list, you can hear the difference between a driven, wired bookshelf result and a portable speaker that shines in isolated situations, with the Polk offering better integration into a near-field stereo layout. In sum, the Polk Audio T15 demonstrates that a budget bookshelf speaker can still deliver natural mid-range, balanced highs, and an approachable soundstage that remains intelligible across genres. Compared to the Anker Soundcore 2, which I have included as number 2 on this list, the Polk Audio T15 offers a more neutral, room-filling performance, but lacks the portable convenience and wireless flexibility that the compact Anker brings to the table. At number 2, we have the Anker Soundcore 2. Soundcore 2 embodies the modern budget Bluetooth speaker with a focus on portability and endurance, a device born for coffee shops, living rooms, and dorms where convenience matters as much as sound. It is compact, rugged, and designed to resist the occasional spill or bump with an exterior that feels built to travel. The core of its appeal is wireless connectivity. You pair a phone or tablet in seconds and stream playlists with minimal latency, while a small chassis gives you a lively, energetic top end and a surprisingly assertive midband that translates well for voice, podcasts, and casual music. Battery life is a standout feature here, with long playback hours that many users will appreciate when you do not want to keep the music plugged in, a factor that becomes more valuable as devices become more mobile and less predictable. Sound signature tends toward a punchy rock-forward character. The bass response, while not deep in the sense of a studio subwoofer, carries enough weight to make a track feel complete, especially when you enable the device's bass-up feature that amplifies low frequencies without muddying the rest of the spectrum. Excuses for it not being a Marshall Acton EI are clear. A more compact soundstage, a narrower dynamic range at extreme volumes, and no wired stereo pairing that a larger, more expensive bookshelf system offers. Yet in the right context, the Soundcore 2 shines near a kitchen counter, in a study corner, or at a small party where space and price are the primary concerns. It's easy to appreciate the ruggedness and the well-rounded mid-range that keeps your speech clear in podcasts and seminars. Compared to the Marshall Acton EI, which I have included as number 1 on this list, you get portability and battery life at a fraction of the price, with the trade-offs of a smaller footprint and a simpler, more casual listening experience. This is the kind of speaker you recommend to students, travelers, or anyone who wants an everyday companion rather than a system built for serious hi-fi impressions. At number 1, we have the Marshall Acton EI. This is the crown jewel in a compact, purpose-built line that blends iconic styling with a rare confidence in sound reproduction from a small footprint. The cabinet construction uses sturdy materials, a textured grille that carries the unmistakable Marshall character, and an enclosure that minimizes unwanted vibrations while projecting a warmth that feels natural and engaging across genres. Sound profile leans into a robust, musical low end that still preserves the clarity of mids and the sparkle of highs, letting electric guitars, piano harmonies, and vocal textures sit with authority. Connectivity means flexibility. You can stream via Bluetooth for convenient listening or wire in with a 3.5 jack or RCA inputs for a dedicated hi-fi or home theater shelf setup. Top-mounted controls provide hands-on feedback that makes adjustments intuitive during a late-night session. And you get a sense that every knob and switch was designed to reward repeated use rather than just a temporary workaround. The overall listening experience balances punchy dynamics with refined tonal balance, letting you feel the transience in percussion and the breadth of a vocal take without fatigue over long sessions. And you compare it to the Amazon Basics Stereo 2 speakers, which I have included as number 5 on this list. You'll hear how the Acton EI delivers deeper bass, greater dynamic control, and more expansive imaging, albeit at a larger footprint and a higher price. The result is a top-tier compact speaker that can anchor a small living room, a desk-side studio, or a multimedia corner with confidence. It is not the most discreet option, but it proves that a compact, well-built two-channel system can rival much larger and more expensive setups if you value tactile control, longevity, and a signature sound that has become part of the Marshall brand.